Yo. I'm Don Dawson, and I need to address a glaring issue. It's way too hot to be doing like that right now. It's not the fact that it's 83 degrees in my apartment right now, although it is, and I'm working on it. But the real issue is that there are 10 albums that were released between 2013 and 2022 that not enough of you are listening to. Luckily, I'm here to fix the problem and shed light on these 10 albums that I feel have been grossly overlooked or have been severely underrated. I think I gotta move this light down. There we go. These range from doom metal to glam rock to alternative to prog and everything in between. Not everything, but a lot in between. There's even a bonus album at the end. I'll talk about a few of my favorite songs or moments from each album so you can get a taste for the sound. But if you want to explore further, check out the Spotify playlist that I've linked in the description of this video that includes all of the albums in this video. So each of these albums has flown under the radar, so to speak, for one reason or another. Whether it's just that the artist isn't that big, maybe it was a change of sound that their core fans weren't so happy with, or it could just be that the artist has such a strong back catalog that most fans didn't think that it stood up to what they were used to, what the standard has been set as. But I think each of these albums brings something exciting and inspiring to the table. So strap in and join me on this stroll through the 10 most underappreciated albums of the last 10 years, assuming you're watching this in 2023, in order of release. I'm not familiar with a ton of prog rock artists, but of the ones I do know, Haken stands head and shoulders above the rest. This album, The Mountain, is an all-encompassing look at everything this band can do, and similarly to Avenged Sevenfold's Life is But a Dream, this album touches upon the human experience with themes of soul-searching, reflection, and lyrics that conjure images of Sisyphus pushing a boulder up a mountain, hence the title. What I perceive to be their most well-known track, Cockroach King, is on this album, and it is an 8-minute powerhouse of blistering musicianship mixed with just the right amount of silliness. Then there's Falling Back to Earth, which is even longer at 11 minutes and 51 seconds, and I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm just going to let you listen to these snippets I've taken from this song, and I think you'll have an idea of how eccentric this song really is. To wrap it up, the album ends on Somebody, and this has one of my favorite moments on the entire album.
I wish I could have been somebody. 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 I wish I could have been.
For those of you who haven't yet taken a step into prog metal but are curious about it, start with The Mountain. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Bring Me the Horizon is now known for bending genres and doing whatever the f they want when it comes to making music. But before that's the spirit, they were known predominantly for their metalcore and deathcore sound. 2013's Sempiternal was a bit of a departure from what most fans were expecting, but at its core, I guess it still could be considered a metalcore album. I don't know, these labels are just, it's music, it's whatever, But That's the Spirit was definitely a big step away from that deathcore, metalcore sound. Bring Me the Horizon took an even larger step this time and really focused their attention on the more melodic side of their songwriting. The opening track, Doomed, sets the stage for what's about to be a very dark, very heavy, but also very easy to listen to compilation of very forward-thinking production tricks for their time and ambitious songwriting all wrapped up in their signature style. Don't Mind Me. True Friends is one of my go-to songs for highway driving with the windows down. The 9th track, Drown, is probably Bring Me the Horizon's most anthemic song. And if you haven't seen it already, please do yourself a favor and watch their performance of it live at the Royal Albert Hall, where they're accompanied by the Parallax Orchestra. It's one of the most moving live performances on YouTube, and I've probably watched it about 15 times now. Over the course of their first 4 albums, Paramore were known to address the valleys of life with aggression and angst. On After Laughter, however, the trio turns mostly to the bright, celebratory sounds of funk, new wave, and pop. Don't let that fool you though. Written shortly after Hayley Williams was engaged, and then not engaged, and then engaged again, and then married, and then no longer married, this album is full of discussions of mental health, heartbreak, loss, and moving on. Vocally, for me, Hayley hit another level on this album. Instead of the fiery delivery that we were all used to before this point, her vocals on this album are buttery smooth, and the emotion that she's able to squeeze out of every word is undeniable. Take, for instance, my favorite performance moment from Hayley on this entire album, which you'll find in Fake Happy. The "oh no," the way she sings that is so defeated and hopeless. It teases you with the "oh" sounding optimistic, but then the "no" just drops you flat on your face. The next track, 26, not track number 26, the track is called 26, is a stunning acoustic ballad and also includes a callback to an older Paramore song that kind of acts as a way of Hayley saying, I should have listened to my own advice.
I've been chasing after dreamers in after all, wasn't I the one who said to keep your feet on the ground? Keep your feet on the ground. When your head's in the clouds.
Another standout for me is Caught in the Middle, which I don't know really how to explain it, but it's very summery. Summery with an E, like the season, not summery with an A. Though this album was well received by critics and fans alike, I still don't ever hear anyone really talking about it, and I think that's a crime. Okay, this is the album that made me want to make this video. Everybody should be listening to Don Broco. Stop what you're doing and add them to your Spotify playlist, your Apple Music library, your YouTube playlist, whatever you do to listen to music. Go do it now. I will wait. Okay, welcome back. No, Don Broco is not a guy. They're a 4-piece band out of Bedford, England, whose sound really doesn't have a clear classification. I know that can be said about most bands, but I think if you listen to them, you'll understand what I mean. Both their lead vocalist and drummer share singing duties, and each one has a unique tone that adds to the appeal of this band for me. This album, Technology, is a 16-song, 1-hour-long, heart-racing adventure blazing through nu metal, alternative, pop, blues, and electronic music with a bunch of pinches of other genres sprinkled in as well. T-Shirt Song is a must-listen and one of the most fun live experiences I've ever had.
It was written many years ago now when I was going through a real shitty time, and I came out the back of it and I came back stronger, and I wanted to capture that in a song. But since the pandemic, playing this song has taken on a whole new meaning for us, because that was a real shitty time. But we came back stronger, and I really found that my boys, the band, music in general was the thing that got me through. I wanted to share that with you tonight. Music is so powerful. It can get you through anything, trust me. This is what it's about right here, people. You're at a show, you're with your friends, you're in the pit having a mosh with your t-shirt off. That's what it's about. So if you don't have your t-shirt off right now, let's see them.
Pretty is a perfect example of everything this album offers, jamming a bunch of exciting moments into 3.5 minutes of action.
8 days a week, sucker, 8 days a week.
Probably one of my favorite and least talked about Don Broco songs is Blood in the Water. This one showcases the heavier and groovier sides of the band, but it doesn't do it at the expense of the more experimental tactics that they deployed earlier in this album. And if you do like this album, definitely check out their latest, Amazing Things, from 2021. And then go see them the next time they come around. They're on tour right now in North America and they're coming back in the fall. I already have my tickets for October. It's a ticket you'll never regret buying. It seems like Weezer has put out about 1,000 albums since 2013. It's actually 10 to be exact, and none of them are talked about enough for my liking, but I thought the Black Album would be the most fun to talk about in a short amount of time. The Black Album is the poppiest thing that Weezer has ever put out, but it's done so tastefully and intentionally that you'll be catching little audio tricks with every listen, and you'll really start to appreciate what's going on behind the scenes. I love how they strayed away from conventional Weezer composition like you'll hear in the horns in Can't Knock the Hustle. That easily could have been guitar or keys, but it wouldn't have had as much flavor. High as a Kite is a gorgeous, low-key, easy listener that features sounds and moods reminiscent of the Commodore's hit Easy Like Sunday Morning, and sound effects that let you escape into the music just the way that Rivers Cuomo is trying to escape the world in this song.
High above the cirrus clouds, where I am one with the universe. I'm high as a kite.
Okay, so my camera just overheated, so I had to take a break. I had to take it off the tripod, so hopefully this looks like the same frame as before. Now let me try to pick up where I left off. The album ends with the heavily electronic California Snow. It's easily the most un-Weezer song on the Black Album, but hearing Rivers Cuomo basically complain his self-deprecating lyrics over a lively hip-hop instrumental somehow makes it the most Weezer song on this album.
Damn me up by the wrist. Woo! California snow, never let me go.
Before I go on to the next one, I need you to know that if you like the music I've gone over so far in this video, you're probably gonna like the music that I make. After all, these are some of my favorite artists, and I draw inspiration from them whether I know it or not. The song you're hearing now, Nobody Loves You, is one of my songs, and it's heavily inspired by Weezer. You can find my music on Spotify, Apple Music, here on YouTube, wherever. And I don't make any money on these videos because of copyright laws. So if you feel like supporting me, you can do so for free just by listening to my music and sharing it with someone else. Links to my music videos and my streaming catalog can be found in the description of this video. All right, thanks for hearing me out. Let's get back to the list. I love concept albums, and as you probably guessed, Sex, Death, and the Infinite Void is a concept album, but I have to come clean about something. I love the music in this album so much that I really haven't spent a lot of time listening to the lyrics and figuring out what the concept of the album is, so can't help you there. Oh man, I was so nervous to say that. But if you like an artist with charisma, look no further than Creeper. After a spoken word intro, this album starts with some upbeat glam rock with the song Be My End. Cyanide, the fourth track, is another one to check out as it mixes the darker and more mysterious side of the band with a groove that's gonna make you wanna dance.
Hopelessly beautiful in 1980. She's my cyanide. I drink her every night. Her love can feel like
Annabelle is my favorite track on the album, and I gotta tell you a funny story real quick.
Annabelle. We're both going to hell.
One day I was mowing my lawn and I had my music on shuffle and Annabelle came on. I had never heard it before, but I was like, man, this song rules. So I racked my brain trying to figure out how it got in my library because I didn't remember adding it to it. I even posted on social media asking if anyone remembered recommending it to me, but all I got was crickets, and I still have no idea why this album is in my Apple Music library, but I'm not complaining because if it wasn't, I would never have heard songs like 4 years ago.
Along the way, I lost myself in your shadow. I loved you for a little while, 4 years ago. Got it right, look what you've done. Believe this will death of reason.
This is probably the weirdest album for me on the list, and not because it's a weird album, but because I don't know really why I love it so much, and I also don't know why it's not more talked about. When it came out, I remember thinking how bold some of their decisions were when making this album, but now looking back on it retrospectively, everything that they were doing then is kind of commonplace now, which says a lot about A Day to Remember and their understanding of their music scene. Still, it's one of those that some people forget even happened, which is why I'm calling it underappreciated. Every time I put it on, I am fully locked in to what's going on in my ears for the full 46 minutes. Last Chance to Dance, Bad Friend, has one of my favorite endings to any song ever.
Trapped in dead rain, I'm moving past this. When I'm gone, who's gonna carry your casket? Who's gonna carry your casket? No one will carry your casket.
Mind Reader is a personal favorite, mainly for the lyrics. High Diving is one of my favorite songs to sing along to with my daughter.
It's hard to practice what you preach when life is a beach. I'm high diving.
And Degenerates is one of the most wholesome pop-punk songs I've ever heard. And if you've ever had anyone judge you for how you look, or the music you listen to, or for anything surface level, you will definitely be able to relate to this.
My friends are degenerates, but I never change them. Liars, cheats, and hypocrites, not the time for saving.
You know what? I think in writing this script, I figured out why I like this album so much. It seems like A Day to Remember really took their time to explore each different direction they went. And there are a lot of different directions. But they didn't just try things for the sake of trying things. They went in with a clear vision for what they wanted for each song, and I think they executed beautifully. The album may not have a cohesive feel or theme, as far as my understanding goes, but you can tell they really put their love into these songs.
It's just a nice small community. Everybody knows everybody. Good place to live and to raise kids. We'll be here forever. So, yeah, it's a good area.
The Killers are one of my absolute favorite bands of all time, top 3 for sure, and I truly love every album they've put out. That's saying a lot too, because they've put out 7 albums since 2004. Pressure Machine, however, is vastly different from any other Killers album. Moonflowers wrote each song about a story pertaining to a person he knew growing up or a person he had heard of growing up in a small town in Utah. And almost every track begins with a recording of a person from that town answering questions while being interviewed for this specific purpose. So the recordings at the beginning of every song kind of set the theme for what's about to come in that following song. West Hills, the opener, is as dark as the Killers have ever gotten, and man is it powerful. Terrible Thing is an acoustic ballad from the point of view of a closeted gay teen struggling to live in a conservative Mormon culture.
Round here we all take up our cross and hang on his holy name. But the cards that I was dealt will get you thrown out of the game.
In the Car Outside is one of the best songs the Killers have ever put out. It's a tremendous mix of classic Killers synth sounds, consistency with the stripped down nature of the rest of the album, and of course the brilliant writing that Brandon Flowers brings with every lyric he comes up with.
It's like a flood of grief and sorrow from a haunted life. When she cried like a train. It's a lot.
If you're into amazing, I mean just wonderful songwriting, do yourself a favor and listen to this album.
Will you die in misery? Wash over me. Wash over me.
Here's another one that if you're into amazing songwriting, you have to hear. Except this one is on the other end of the spectrum when it comes to sound. Swallow the Sun from Finland have been around since 2000, and in my opinion, they've spent that entire time perfecting their craft of death doom metal. Again, I don't know, it's a label, it's what the internet said. To me, it's slow, sad metal, and it kicks ass. The opening track, Moonflowers Bloom in Misery, is a perfect table setter. There's booming drums, smothering guitar tones, and harrowing guttural screams of despair that give the listener just a glimpse of the pain that singer and guitarist Juha Raivio has been feeling since losing his longtime partner and collaborator, Alea Stanbridge, which is what this album and the previous Swallow the Sun album have all been centered around. For real, this album requires you to be in a bit of a darker place to truly be fully felt. One of my favorite moments when seeing Swallow the Sun perform live is the part that you just heard after the drums kick in after the bridge of Woven into Sorrow. The penultimate song, The Fight of Your Life, features the most gut-wrenching section of any song I've probably ever heard. Especially considering it was written about his partner who passed away so young. It's just an utterly beautiful, emotional album, and if you like heavier metal, or even if you can just put up with it, put this one on during a bad day and feel like you've never felt before. Alright, what you've all been waiting for, the bonus album. Okay. I know this is not a rock album. This is a synthwave album. So yeah, this is cheating. But it's a bonus album, so it doesn't even count. And I know absolutely nothing about FM84. Is it a group? Is it a person? Is this album actually underappreciated? Who knows? Not me. What I do know is every once in a while, when I've been listening to one kind of music for maybe a little too long and need a change, I'll just throw on Atlas by FM84 as a nice palate cleanser, and I wanted to make sure that all of you are aware of this album as well. This is another one that I have no idea how it got in my library, but damn it am I glad it's there. I love listening to this album on a longer drive, while working, on a hike. Another thing is I don't really know which song is which because I just put on the album and then just forget about it. So I can't really tell you which ones to listen to right now, but during editing, I'll put some up so that it makes a little bit more sense. There's just so much good energy going on in this album, and when I'm in a songwriting rut, it often will inspire me to just make something fresh and fun and new, whether I end up using it or not, but it always at least gets the wheels turning.
No more defiance.
Give me a minute, alright? I know Will of the People is the biggest meme of an album since 2013, but hear me out. I get that the songwriting is lazy. I get that the ideas are unoriginal. I get that Pitchfork gave it a 37 out of 100. But can we just step away from all of that just for a minute or 38 minutes, I guess. And just listen to this album and appreciate it for what it is. It's a bunch of musicians who have paid their dues and earned the right to not need to prove anything to anybody and just make whatever they feel like making. And I really think they had fun making this album. The second track, Compliance, is full of evidence of that fun. Same goes for You Make Me Feel Like It's Halloween. Listen to this one in a good pair of headphones and tell me you didn't have one of the most fun times you've ever heard listening to a song. Then there's my personal favorite, Verona, which is a prime example of how to build up anticipation for a huge payoff. Over a span of 2 minutes and 32 seconds, we go from this to this.
Because I need you so.
The entire album is a sonic treat to listen to if, like I said, you can just listen to it for what it is. And I don't care what anyone else says, I think it's way better than most people are willing to admit. So there it is, my list of the 10 most underappreciated songs of the last 10 years, plus a bonus album. I highly recommend that you check out whichever one piqued your interest most, if not all of them. Also, share in the comments which albums would be on your list. And if you've made it to this point, would it be too much for me to ask for just one more tiny little favor? Could you like the video? And if you want to see more, subscribe. I'm really trying to grow a community of music lovers. And if you have an opinion on music, we'd love to have you. Alright people, it's late. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Peace out.